Well, we've had the first Wyoming High School Activities Association Board of Directors meeting here in the 2025-26 school year. Pleased to be joined by Wyoming High School Activities Association Commissioner Trevor Wilson. And Trevor, always thanks for a few minutes today. First of all, I think the big one, it started to develop in the last couple of years. It was the name, image, and likeness, the NIL thing that we hear about a lot at the college ranks, but it's starting to filter down into high school ranks. That got voted down. Were you surprised by that, Trevor, a little bit, considering some of the discussion around the state? I guess, what's your perspective on it?
I really wasn't surprised. I mean, last spring, if you recall, it passed pretty much overwhelmingly. And then we had some superintendents voice their concerns. And of course, they can control how their schools vote, which is okay. So I met with those folks last spring in a Zoom call, and then throughout the summer, just felt like it probably wasn't going to pass. And then in our last round of district meetings, it passed one district and was defeated at the other three. So I was pretty confident that it was not going to pass at our board level, and it did not. It is controversial, and the biggest thing. I mean, there's over 40 states that state associations, high school state associations that allow NIL. So we're one of the few, and I understand we're very conservative, and that's okay. But I think there's going to come a point where we have to address this and allow our kids those same opportunities. But for now, we'll just keep moving forward and address anything with NIL if we need to.
The next one was, it sounds like there's going to be a few changes coming in basketball in the future that won't impact this current season, but starting 26-27, and it has to do with the number of teams in each classification is just based on, for lack of a better discussion, you're going to have a lot of numbers in the bottom two classes, it sounds like.
Yeah, like I said, when we got our ADMs, the membership average daily membership from our schools this summer, and put those together, and if we followed our current structure, we would end up with 14 schools in 4A, 16 schools in 3A, which are okay, but then the 2A, 1A was the issue. 2A would have 11 schools, 1A would have 29 schools. We felt like that was a problem, so we had to start thinking of different ways to classify. So at that time, we just kind of felt we need to go back to what we used to do, just set X amount of schools in one class and so forth, instead of putting these enrollment cut lines where schools move, then it creates this imbalance for us. So the proposal that's out there that passed our board of directors first reading is to go to a 16 4A school, 16 3A schools, 18 2A schools, and then the rest, which would be 21A schools. And that was passed unanimously by our board. And we will take it out to our districts, like I said, starting next week, and just see where it goes. And our next board meeting is November 4th.
So it'll be a quick turnaround to see what the districts want to do with this. Does that create kind of maybe, for lack of a better phrase, a competitive balance, though, between each of the four classes a little bit? You know, because I've heard some of the, well, they slid down because of their numbers, and you should be back in this class. I mean, you've probably heard some of that discussion around the state, but I mean, 29 teams in one class would be just too overbearing.
Too much, and it just created issues for regional tournaments and qualifying, and again, it just didn't seem like it's fair. And then you go to the other side, you have 2A with 11 schools. Well, who are they going to play, and how are they going to qualify? I mean, it just creates issues basically on both sides. You have the 29 and 11. So, the 16, like I said, there's no reclassification proposal in America that's perfect. This one seems fair and seems fairly well supported by our membership so far. I mean, a lot of these leagues have already met to determine their conferences, even though it hasn't officially passed. Everybody just kind of feels like that's going to pass, because if it doesn't, we're going back to what we just talked about with our 14, 16, 11, and 29.
Wow, 29 schools in one class. That
Yeah.
kind of blows my mind, but
Yeah.
I guess we have like 25 in 1A right now, I think, in basketball or something
Yeah,
around there.
and that's a lot, and that's what happened. We had 4 schools in 2A schools that were 2A just dropped below that cut line, so that put them in 1A. And then with that structure, we didn't move anybody else up. So it just, it was, I mean, couldn't be a worst case scenario for that structure to happen. And with our, only having 70 schools, when you have 4 shift down and none shift up, it creates problems.
Lastly, I know there's been some discussion football wise about how do you create maybe some competitive balance and schools, you know whether you want to take South as an example of trying to find a way to get that program back rolling in the right direction from a competitiveness standpoint. They made the decision to play a full 4A schedule this year.
Right.
Obviously I've heard talk about should 4A go back to just conferences, and then that way maybe you get a, for lack of a better example, Sheridan Star Valley matchup or Cody Sheridan or something like
Yeah.
that. What are you hearing, if anything, about possibly something for football? Because I know some things got kind of shot down right away last spring.
Yeah. Well, as of now, football is not changing. We'll stick with the exact same structure we have with 10 schools in 4A and 12 schools in 3A and then 14. And as I said, with 14 and 2A, we'll add 2 because of the Upton Sundance combo and then Cokeville opting out.
Yeah.
And then 9 men will have 12 schools and 6 men will have 14 schools. Yeah, I mean, we have, as you know, you see the scores, especially in 4A. A lot of those are very lopsided, and I don't think anybody has an answer other than everybody talks about stuff. But as of right now, nothing is going to change with scheduling or moving schools anywhere else,
Yeah.
at least for the next reclass cycle.
Well, and the state scheduling meeting will be following shortly after the
Yeah,
next board meeting, so I know that
yeah,
that'll have to kind of look at. And that's a
yeah.
2 year. That's a basically a 2 year cycle that you got to kind of look at some things almost.
It
So
it is, and when we have, as you know, we schedule football, so we're already pretty much done scheduling football. So if those changes need to be made a while back in order for us to be able to schedule and hand those out November 18th at our scheduling meeting.
gotcha. Real quick, thoughts on how the start of the fall's gone from your perspective? I know we've already got golf and tennis done in the books. Still a couple weeks away from cross country, and that'll be a
Yep,
big run between cross country and then you got volleyball, swimming, and diving, and
yep.
then football. But your thoughts on what you've kind of seen and heard so far?
Well, it's been great so far. As you remember, the state golf weekend was fantastic weather. State tennis was the best weather we've had in a long, long time. So that certainly helps those outdoor activities. And yeah, it's been very good. And as you mentioned, it's full speed ahead. We have marching band coming up next weekend, and then cross country, and then volleyball and girls swim, and followed by state football and Laramie. So hopefully the weather keeps keeps it up a little bit, and we'll just see what happens.
Trevor, thanks so much for some time today. I greatly appreciate it.
David, I appreciate it, man. Have a great day.